Hi, it's me again, Richard Struck, Irresistible Deck, working on the Marudai New Prince pachinko machine. I promise this is going to be my last one. So I take for granted that I've been working with electricity for a while, and I have some tools and skills that other people don't have. So I thought I'd just do some really simple stuff. I mounted these eyeball lights in here, and I have these big wads of extra wire which I do not need. And so I'm going to shorten up each one of these wires. And my first suggestion, of course, is to do them one at a time because they all look very much the same. Each one of these wires has a white stripe on it, which in this case notes a positive. If you hook a diode up to your battery backwards, absolutely nothing's going to happen. It's just going to not work. And so you'll know when you got it the right way or the wrong way. And if you're troubleshooting, you find out your lights don't work, that's a pretty good place to start. But basically I wanted to show you something, and I'm hoping this works out okay. I've got these wires. I got this super cool, we'll zoom in a little bit on this one. This is a very cool tool to have around the house. This tool, here we go. That is my crimpers. They're made by Thomas and Betts, and they got a little cutting edge on the front of them, and they got the little crimper part inside of them. So I'm going to be using this. I'm going to use some heat shrink tubing. You can get this at many places. Just a plastic tube that's bigger than the wire, and when you apply heat to it, it shrinks up, just like the thing says, and it insulates it, and it keeps it all together. And so, basically, I'm going to start out with one of these, and the idea here is I've got this one shorter wire that's getting the power up to this little control module up here. And if you're going to screw consistently, I'm going to take this one wire. Let's zoom out, pan out a little bit. So I'm going to take this one wire and cut it, and then resplice it back together without all this big extra stuff in between. And I'm going to try to make it all the same size as this one wire that's the shorter wire that goes up to this module. So if you're going to screw consistently, all the wires should end up being the same size and pretty much going to the same place. And I can tie wrap them together and make a nice, neat package. So here we go. The stuff I take for granted. Going to cut this wire here. Bam. Make sure there's no power on. Hope I don't have to tell you that 2 times. I'm going to untangle this from the mess. And the idea again is to make it about the same length as this other one, and to cut it right about the same length as that one. Okay. So now I'm going to splice these 2 pieces of wire that I just cut, actually just one wire that I cut in 2 places. I'm going to splice it back together to make one shorter wire. First thing I'm going to do is to use my little trusty tool here and separate, just make a little cut on it and then pull it apart. And same thing on the one on the other side. I'm only going to do this one example. There's I could spend all night doing this because there's several wires I need to shorten up, but you guys are wanting to get on to other things, So here I'm going to do a little trick. I'll take a piece of this heat shrink tubing, and I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, but we'll try it. Cut about I don't know, generous amount out of it. I gotta use it like 4 or 5 pieces out of that. I'm gonna slip it all the way over one of these ends of wire. Okay. Now, give me a second. Okay. I have to zoom in a little bit again. Got these insulated butt splices. You look inside of there, little metal tube surrounded by plastic. And they come in several different sizes. This one is, I think, a 16 to 18 gauge wire for American people. I know its metric is a little bit different. But basically I'm going to slip that over the stripped wire and then crimp it down with that little nub that's on the crimper. And one thing I'd like to point out is that if you wanted to have that heat shrink tube go over all these things, you don't want to put these two side by side. If I was just to crimp them on like this, and then it would make a big lump right in the middle of the wire. And so we don't want to do that if we can avoid that. So we're going to trim one side shorter than the other. How much shorter? This much shorter, the size of that. And that way we can put them one right next to each other, and we'll see how that turns out. And if we're really lucky, then that heat shrink tube will fit over the top of it. So we'll trim one side down a little bit more than the other. Strip the insulation off. There's a seam on the metal tube, and you want to make sure that your notch that goes in the crimper is opposite of that seam. Otherwise it splits the seam, and sometimes it doesn't make a good connection, and once you use these things one time you can't reuse them. Alright, we're going to push this in. So the wire part goes into the metal tube. And we squeeze. Sound effects, no extra charge. Makes a nice tight connection. Okay? Do the same thing on the other wire. Pay attention to where the little seam is at. You want these notches to match up where the end of your stripped wire is at. And so you're not crimping on the plastic part, or you're crimping on the plastic part, but the metal part is inside of the plastic part. And that's the part you want to squeeze down on the wire. If you do it correctly, you'll give a gentle tug on it. It's not going to go anywhere. You see, you can put those end like that. It's going to work out real nicely. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing on the other end of the wire. Mind your colors. Here's the other end of my wire. On this side I made the white striped wire longer, so I'm going to make the white striped wire shorter on this end. Pretty clever. I'm going to cut it right about there. If you want to save a little time, you can strip them both at the same time. Means you only pick up your tool one time. Okay, it's like deja vu all over again. black wire to black wire inside the tube. That's just going to be in the same spot. Squeeze with enthusiasm and vigor. Nice connection. Same thing on this one. No, and for some reason it didn't come out quite as nice. I think I hit it in the wrong spot. Yeah, sometimes even superheroes make mistakes. We'll see if I can recover it from that one though. Yep, I got a good tight connection. I'm gonna zoom in just a little more, one more time. And you can see that on each one of these crimp connectors there's two notches right next to each other. Okay? Very nice tight connection. It'll go under the tube. Let's try the tube, see what happens. And much to my chagrin, the tube is just a little bit too small to go over one of these crimp connectors. Which is not a big tragedy because these crimp connectors are insulating anyway. I just thought it was going to be super cool and put some heat shrink tube around them. Next time I'll get a larger heat shrink tube. That's how we learn. Hope you enjoyed my video. Thumbs up. Thanks.